LastPass is dead. They're making a horrible mistake. What were they thinking? We're gonna talk about that today as a product manager and see what kind of lessons we can learn. Welcome to Backseat Product Manager, where we learn to think like a product owner by observing other companies. This week, we're gonna look at LastPass. They recently made a change to their free tier and made the internet go off looking for alternatives. We're gonna look a little bit about the history of LastPass, where they came from, how long they've been around. We're also gonna look at a little bit about the competition and see what lessons we can learn about this change. All right, quick disclaimer. I do pay for LastPass. I have for many years. LastPass is not paying for this. They have no clue who I am. All opinions and views are my own. In case you don't know what it is, LastPass is a password manager. It allows you to have a single password that lets you log into LastPass, where it has a vault with all of your passwords. This enables you to have a very secure password for every website on the internet without you having to memorize all of those. LastPass also enables you to add your addresses and credit cards so that it can more quickly help you fill out forms online. LastPass was started in 2008, and in 2015, it was acquired by LogMeIn for $110 million. Now, LogMeIn is a rather large company that owns quite a few different companies. Just to give you an idea of how big it is, in 2019, it was estimated that it made $1.2 billion. So when you do a verse search for LastPass, these are the competitors that show up. If you don't know what a verse search is, you can check out my video on Google search tips up here. We won't spend much time here as each of these competitors have separate videos online. You can go check those out if you're interested. But basically, I want to show that they've been around for a while and that they are rather established companies. And since we are talking about the free plans, I will go ahead and mention that both Safari and Chrome also have password managers built in for free. So what exactly did LastPass change about their free tier? They changed it so that instead of being able to use their product across all of the devices that you own, you had to select what device type you wanted to use. So they broke it down into basically mobile, so your phone, your tablets, versus desktop and laptops. You had to choose a category of device to use the app on, which really handicaps what you can do with it. So let's take a deeper dive and look at the comparison between companies. LastPass originally was unlimited devices, unlimited passwords, and then if you wanted to start paying, it was $36 per year. 1Password offers a 14-day free trial, and then it is basically the same price, $36 per year. Now, Dashlane's interesting because it does have a free plan, but it's limited to one device and 50 passwords. And then if you want to start paying, it's $60 per year, and that includes a VPN. Now, Keeper has a 30-day free trial, and then its paid plans start at $35 per year. Bitwarden has a free tier, and then its paid plans start at $10 per year. Now, when I was researching this video, I was seeing a couple of people say, oh, this industry should be standard, it should be a race to the bottom, things should get cheaper over time. It really leaves out the cost associated with running a business. Let's think through it. So you have iOS, you have Android. So you need to keep both of those updated every time there's new releases of the product, or else you could be using outdated functionality and your app will look dated. Then you need to write extensions for every single browser your customers may use. You can't just say, oh, well, Safari and Chrome. Well, there's also Edge, there's also Firefox, there's also Opera. There's a lot of different browsers that you have to consider. And then you have the functionality to actually fill out the forms, which is not trivial. You have some websites that have a popover with username and password, pretty straightforward. But then you have other websites where the username's on one screen, and then you click next, and then you go to the password. So you can't always be looking for username and password fields. And then other websites probably have those fields called something completely different. So you have to be able to know to adjust for that. So you have to make sure that any website your customers are going to on a regular basis, that your program actually fills it out properly. And then you've got to validate that. And you might want to be supporting multiple languages. So all of these things are types of functionality that you've got to continue iterating on. And as I mentioned before, you can also fill out credit cards and addresses. And addresses is not an easy problem to fill out. How those forms are labeled is going to be different on almost every single website. So trying to get that consistently to fill out and have a good user experience for the customer is not an easy task. And then you want to toss on top of that adding customer support either via email or phone calls. And then you're talking about people spending time with your customers. There's a cost associated with each of those elements. So just to say, oh, it should be a race to the bottom and it should get cheaper over time, is really ignoring a lot of the attributes of this. And again, Safari and Chrome do have password managers built in. I think Firefox does too. So a lot of the browsers already are covering the base free tier aspect of password managers. All of these other companies are doing a +1 to that and being able to provide additional value. And that costs money to actually support. So why might LastPass have made this change? From what I can tell, LastPass had the best plan in town. Unlimited devices, unlimited passwords, completely free, from a company that has been in the industry for a while and has continued to get good ratings from people. So why would you not use it? So when we're talking about businesses that have paid plans, you have to keep in mind that the freemium model is a marketing ploy. It's to get people in the door to use your product to eventually upgrade. What I'm guessing happened is over the past 5 or 6 years since they were acquired, they've done what they could to try to get people to upgrade, but people aren't upgrading. They're finding that the free tier does what they need, a better service than Safari or Chrome is providing because they can use it across browsers, and it's really easy to use across multiple devices and everything, so they're enjoying it, but they have no incentive to actually upgrade. So your choices from a business perspective is either, well, continue making your paid plans so much better that there's something that they want to pay to upgrade, or you change your free plan. I'm guessing they spent 5 or 6 years trying to improve their paid plan, but it didn't work. Nobody was upgrading. Well, nobody. In the grand scheme of things, a very small percentage of them were upgrading. And you had this huge base of free users who weren't paying, who weren't upgrading, and a small fraction of them emailing support every month is a real cost to the bottom line. And we're looking at cost to acquire a new customer. Well, people not upgrading just makes this even more and more expensive to continue to run. So there had to be a give. And I think the free tier was put on the chopping block because it wasn't doing its job anymore. Let's talk about CAC for a second, cost to acquire a customer. Let's talk about a couple different channels. So you could talk to a influencer and say, I will pay you $5 for every customer that you give me. Well, every customer now costs you $5. That's very simple. That's your CAC. Now you could do advertising and say, okay, I'm going to spend $100 on advertising, but I'm expecting to be able to get 20 users from it. So if you get 20 users for every $100 you spend, again, your CAC is $5. So then let's talk about the freemium model. Let's say in a given week, you have 5 users come into your service for the free plan. And then 1 year later, they've all upgraded to a paid plan. Now, what would be your CACs in that case? Seems like it shouldn't be a question because you didn't pay anybody else to acquire those customers. But you paid yourself. You had to pay for the hosting services. You had to pay for all the customer support associated with it. So that becomes your numerator. Divided by the 5 users, now your CACs is actually $20. So it's not a completely free service for you to be able to run for anybody. There's a cost associated with it. And if the number of people who are actually signing up for your paid plans gets smaller and your cost to manage the services associated with the free tier goes up, then you're actually going to infinity. You're not able to actually pay for the service anymore. So that's why I think that LastPass had to change something in the freemium tier. So what could LastPass do? They could leave things as is. They could continue allowing the free plan to be out there. But seeing as they're not a charity, they probably don't want to be losing revenue on the free tier. And if it's not actually doing the marketing objective of bringing users into the paid plans, they probably need to change things. Or, like I said, they could try to change their paid plans so that people actually do upgrade. But I'm guessing that hasn't worked. They haven't figured out the golden feature that just makes everybody want to buy it. And with so many other competitors out there, it's becoming even harder to compete. So trying to make their free plan the way to compete is probably the wrong direction. So if you had to change the free tier, what options would you be looking at? Let me know in the comments below how you would have changed the free tier. So the first idea I thought of was limiting the number of devices. It seems like a pretty straightforward option. Look at the distribution of number of devices your users use on the free plan, and then cap it so that it would encapsulate 80% of the users. I'm guessing that'd be around like 3 devices, your phone, your tablet, and one computer. And then for those people who have multiple computers, they're more sophisticated, they have more income, they are more likely to sign up for a service, then just allow them to sign up for a paid service with unlimited devices. But then I realized this is a browser extension. I don't think you can get a device ID from a browser extension. All of your API calls, all of your knowledge about the user is from the browser. And for security purposes, I don't think it would give you a unique identifier for the one computer. And if it did, the way that Chrome gives you a unique ID is probably different than what Safari on the same computer would do. So you would never know that these are on the same computer, much less assuming that like every other browser also implements that same strategy. So being able to actually lock it down by the number of devices, I think is actually impossible. I was surprised that Dashlane actually does limit to 1 device, but I'm guessing because it's 1, they were able to just only use it for 1 login, and then if you have to log into something else, you have to intentionally log out of the first one. But trying to do anything beyond scale of 1, I'm guessing is the impossible or very difficult. So I'm guessing that's why LastPass was not able to go down that route. I think the next obvious thing to limit would be the number of passwords, just like Dashlane, except that with LastPass, I think that you could probably manage larger number of free passwords. Again, look at all of your free users, cap it so that 50 or 80% of them don't need to actually sign up for the paid service. You're really just trying to get it so that there is a wall at which people do need to switch over to paid. And I think that would be an obvious choice. I think the one downside is by limiting the number of websites, you might encourage bad behavior. And that would look like people saying, oh, I'm only going to put in my bank account or my credit cards, maybe a few social media accounts, but everything else I'll just use insecure passwords for. And that really defeats why you have a password manager to begin with. I think that may be one reason why not to limit by number of passwords. I think another reason they might want to try to just get a lot of people off of the freemium tier and coming out and saying, oh, you can only have 50 passwords might just be a slap in the face for everybody. Be like, what are you going to do? Delete all of my other ones? How do I stay on the free tier? I think that might be a messy process for them. There really isn't much else you could potentially change. You could change the device type. You could also change the length of time. So instead of saying, oh yeah, it's a free plan, you can use it as long as you want, you could go to a free trial and limit it to time, just like 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, something like that. But I think that because they have so many people on a free plan already, they want to be shifting to a paid plan, it would be really bad to either grandfather them into the free plan, in which case you're not getting anybody to upgrade. That's been the issue the whole time. Or you say everybody has to upgrade or leave. It's kind of like get out of my house. It's not a really polite way to manage your business. So I don't think that was a viable option for them either. I think by changing the device type, they kind of actually did back themselves into being able to limit time-wise the usefulness of the free tier. Yes, you can use it unlimited time, but you're not going to get much value out of it. Trying to switch from your phone to your computer, like everybody's going to do that. And trying to log into the website and copying the password out into the other tab to be able to log into a website is just going to be very inefficient for most people. So I think that rather than labeling it as, oh, you have 14 days, they can really push people to make a decision. Do I want to stay here and pay, or do I want to leave and find some other solution? So if I was a product manager on the team, what choice would I have advocated for? I really would have been pushing for the number of passwords. I think that that's the cleanest solution. It doesn't get this strange idea of capping people's ability to actually use the program. And there's a lot of ways that you can make it so that it's really nice for everybody. You could grandfather everybody in, and anybody who's over that limit, just give them an extra 5 passwords to be able to use. And then once they actually do hit that at a later date, not right away, then they can make the decision at that time, am I getting value from this or not? And then they can try to upgrade. The other thing that you could do with that is at the time of announcing it, say, hey, we're giving you 25% off or even 75% off of a 1-year subscription, just to get them used to the idea of paying now and make it super cheap, because you were losing money before, so you might as well take a little bit of a hit for 1 year just in order to get them into the system and start paying, and then they'll start paying on a more regular basis. That would be one way to potentially recover a lot more of those users. Okay, so just for a little practice, why might they not have gone down that route? It could have been a technical issue. Maybe they're unable to limit the number of passwords for some reason. Maybe it's a race condition between managing it on a phone versus a desktop. Maybe there's like an offline mode issue that they're having to run into that they couldn't figure out how to deal with. Or maybe somebody in management just didn't like that idea because it was copying the competition too much, or they wanted to look at trying to go to the end solution much faster of getting a lot more people off of the free plan, rather than enabling more people just to clean out old passwords and say, oh, what are the 100 websites I actually use the most often, and then continue on the free tier. Maybe that was a concern. So what can we learn from this as product managers and entrepreneurs? I think the biggest one is to remember that freemium models are marketing plans. If they're not getting people to upgrade to your paid plans, it's probably not going to work out long term. That said, let's take a quick look at the competition again. Notice that Bitwarden is actually the youngest company, and it's the only one that actually has a free plan with no restrictions. This is a marketing ploy. It is to get people into the door, to use your service, and to attempt to get them to upgrade. The other plant companies are established. They have many customers. They don't need to worry about trying to generate interest in their product. There are plenty of advocates already out there for them. So when you're starting out with a freemium plan, consider what features are you adding in. And there's two paths to take. Either you can make it so good that it's stupid not to use it, and then just have the plan that 2 years, 3 years down the road, you're going to have to change it in order to get more people to shift up to the paid plans. Or you make sure that anything you put in the free plan is things that you're okay with always being free, and know that you have other ways of getting people to upgrade. And when you do remove options, really think through all of the options that you have around you. What are different ways you can play this? Is there ways to grandfather people in? Is there upsells that you can offer that will make this a smooth transition for people? Try to make sure you are thinking of the user and how they will react to this. And you're always going to get bad news, bad publicity. In fact, if you're getting bad publicity, it means that you're big enough in the industry that people want to write about you, which probably has its own benefits associated with that. But just keep it in context. If customers are emailing you upset about your latest announcement, about your free plan, or about anything, make sure you step back and remember there's a reason, there's an intention, there's a business perspective to this that maybe they're just not seeing, and that is okay. You have to make sure that you're accounting for your business needs in order to make sure it succeeds. And last, remember that just because you think you're adding amazing features to your paid plans doesn't mean that people are going to pay to upgrade to it. That's why a lot of free plans have caps associated with them, so that people will come up and hit it and then have to pay in order to continue using it. So think through how you set that up and see if your paid plans are set up so that they can succeed, so that your business can succeed. All right, what lessons did I miss, or how would you have approached this differently? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, this is my first video in the Backseat PM series. Please let me know what you think of this structure, things you would want to see changed, or things that you would like to see included in the future. All right, that's all I have. Have a great day, and always be thinking like a product owner.